Hi everyone, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. We are thoroughly into spring weather today. It is in the 70s yesterday, high to mid 70s today, and the rhubarb is taking right off. If you've ever grown rhubarb, it is perennial. It can be a little sweet, mostly sour. It is excellent for making rhubarb crisp and rhubarb pies, and it is excellent for your digestive system. Because it's so hardy, the rhizomes or the root ball that it grows can be divided and split up to get a massive row like this. When I grew up, my mom had probably a 50-foot row of rhubarb, and she would give it away to all of her hair salon customers all the time. And these days, we sell off our extra. I pack a bunch, I freeze it, I shrink wrap it in the food savers, I've canned it. I prefer the freezing it over the canning it because the canning, it gets too sweet and syrupy by adding a syrup water to it. So look into those different options if you're going to grow this. But this is rhubarb that I actually transplanted from my mom's property 12 years ago maybe. And right down here where it is seeding out the most was original to the property. These three little plants right here. And I say little because they actually are a very thin stalk compared to the rest of my rhubarb. Let's get one. Now I like to pick my rhubarb. Some people like to cut it, but I just break it right down at the bottom. If I happen to bring up any of the root, I plant it in a pot and sell it as a rhubarb start. Now, the leaves have a poisonous material in them that they actually use in beekeeping. So you want to cut that off a good inch or two away from the top of the leaf. And if you get more of that bottom, I always trim off the bottom also. Clean it really good. Some people actually peel it before they cook it. I do not. I use it straight out of the garden like this, chop it up. I bought a 14-cup food processor years ago, and it really helps speed things up a lot. Now, my mom's rhubarb was a much thicker stalk, and it's always been that way, even when it was baby plants here first getting established. So this has been popping up for about 2 weeks. Like, here's an average stalk. And this is much more sour. Now there's some different varieties and I don't know what all we have. And in cooking, it really doesn't matter. Your taste buds are going to encourage you one way or another in your baking or your use of it. But basically it's used for baking. It's also called the pie plant. And we're going to talk a little bit about care of these. So when I'm working my rhubarb patch, I always try to pick my leaves down here at the bottom because they start laying down and more plants are going to get pushed up from the center. So I want to trim all of this back so that it's not just laying on the ground. It helps open them up for airflow so that you don't get any pests in there. This time of year, I have never had a problem with my rhubarb, but I always watch for snakes. If you watched our previous video, we were doing a farm cleanup with roofing shingles out back. And we've been seeing a lot of other things, turtles, reptiles, snakes, and frogs too. So I always look out for that and kind of move them around. You don't want any surprises. So always use caution in your gardening this time of year anyway. We are in Michigan and these diamondback rattlesnakes are around. So that's why I bring that up. So if you're going to sell rhubarb, like at a farmer's market, a roadside stand during the summer, a thing to know is that you are going to get a seed pod very early. Now this is going to turn into millions of little seeds very quickly. These others, they're just kind of starting out, and you can see you end up with secondary seed pods on the top of your rhubarb. I cut these off. Now the stem that it grows on all the way down is hollow, and I always get one rhubarb leaf off of it. It's best to just take that all the way down because it's hollow all the way down here. So let's just cut that and I'll show you. it's hollowed right out there. So then I just dispose of that. Now, have a compost pile or someplace away from the rest of your rhubarb patch for getting rid of these. Now, I'm not going to waste that. I'm going to go ahead and save that for baking, and the kids will get a good batch of rhubarb crisps. But with the rain and sun that we keep alternating, we get about 2 days of sun and 3 days of rain lately. You know, spring rain. This has already started to sprout out, you see. It's not just a dense cluster at this point. So I really should have gotten to these days ago, and I just hadn't been having my knife around. So like this one, I had tried to pinch it and pull it off and could not get it. I'm cutting the seeds off, and that's where I was talking about the selling at a farmer's market. If you get rid of these seed pods, you don't let it go to seed, you're going to have continued new growth through the summer, and it's going to replenish. You will get so many pounds out of such a small space. It's just well worth your time to do it. Now, we like to do everything organic here, and this is a little pest or mite, and they like to cause stalk damage. And we'll look up the name of him. But this is basically what ends up happening is you get, well, maybe I can show right here, there's a slight brown mark on that stalk, and he's bitten into that. And if you see like a jelly-like substance, they're secreting something from themselves, and it can be gross. So we just chop those off. If you use DE or diatomaceous earth instead of pesticides, it's safe for you and bad for bugs. We just sprinkle it over the crop, around the crop, down at the roots, and it really helps a lot with keeping that down. But I hadn't known for years. I've been raised around this. A lot of times when we were growing up, we would just cut the leaves, lay them on the ground to help with weed control, and that was attracting this insect to bore into the rhubarb plant and cause its damage. So now we just throw them all in the compost pile. But, you know, honestly, for 30 years of my life, we just composted them on the ground right at the plants. The same basic concepts hold true with this beautiful asparagus. We take what we need. It's growing up every day faster than we can even process it or use it. It's a wonderful, nice spring treat. And no matter how much you like it, I think after a while you'll probably get sick of it too. So you can see just a couple little nibble bites. Most of the rhubarb is coming out clean with no problems. So getting these seed pods out right now and opening up each plant for ventilation really helps a lot. And that's where selling off or processing any early helps with our ventilation as well. Now you might be wondering, when should I do this? And how much of the plant should I take off? So when I am picking rhubarb, I try to never take more than 50% of the plant away. And when you see a pod just like that, as soon as you see it, it is okay to go ahead and cut that out of there. Also, in opening this up, look down into the plants, because you can see there's seed pods that are growing way down low that you're not going to catch. And that's going to be preventative to you having a succession of more rhubarb coming up. So we're just going to reach down in there and take those out. Anytime I find yellow leaves like this that are dying off, I get rid of those also, because we don't want any of that decaying plant material left behind. So when I'm picking, I try to get it far down the plant like that, and I will just cut that little node or nodule off the bottom right to about there. And you can see, like, some people ask, is it pink, if it's red, if it's green? You can see that color variation changes throughout the stalk. So then if I pull one and I get a little root nodule like that, a rhizome, I'll plant that. And you can try to plant it with the leaves, or you can take those right off and plant just the stems. I've had success both ways. A good way to do it is we save all of our yogurt and cottage cheese containers, put a little dirt from the garden that was formerly a pig pen, so it is full of fertilizer, plant this in there, let it grow up for a few weeks, and then we sell starter plants for anywhere from $3 to $6 a piece. Now, if you're selling your rhubarb, we generally sell it anywhere from $3 to $5 per pound. I have in the past put in a clause that please to order at least 3 pounds because I have to come out and fresh cut it. In the past, I've previously just left a cooler in the driveway with the name of the person ordering it in case I'm busy. I'd like to pick mostly in the morning hours, not in the middle of the day where it's nice and hot. Obviously, I'm standing out here in full sun, and then you can end up with a sunburn really fast, and it's really good for the plant to have that dew on it to help keep it fresh for a while. It doesn't always work out. Sometimes an unforgiving person will show up and take the entire contents instead of just their 2 or 3 pounds, and they don't always pay. So it's good to meet people face to face and build that relationship right at the farm. I don't sell at a farmer's market or a farm stand. We do direct face-to-face sales. It seems to work out best that way. You build a relationship, and quite often they end up getting interested in other products like our beef, our chickens. We don't sell butchered chickens. I do sell started chicks, started hens that are starting to lay eggs, and then it helps people to step into the homesteading. Don't take offense if you lose a customer. Sometimes it's that they like your way of life so much that they got into it themselves. And one more thing I can tell you is a great tip is to have yourself a garden cart like this on wheels. This is a Yardworks all-terrain garden cart, and I've probably had it for 8 years or so, and we use it for firewood, we use it for gardening, I use it for the rhubarb, I use it for hauling bales of hay. It fits a regular square bale of hay perfectly, and these tires pull perfectly on sand, gravel, dirt, mud, and grass, so it's real handy to have. And this handle is removable, so you can pull it behind a small ATV or riding lawnmower also, making it super handy to have around the farm. We do our gardening for fun. This is our former pig pen, and it has terrific, terrific dirt in it. So I just got a bucket of this nice, rich black soil, and we'll put them into the pots. This is what I got out of just cleaning up my rhubarb patch. Do what you like and enjoy what you do, because if you make it all work, my son is out here, he's starting to plant seeds and get his garden going. He does the family vegetable garden. Last year was his first year doing it. His sister got him a wonderful gift of gardening tools for his birthday, and he has the most interest in it. We all pitch in and help him, but he does a lot of it all on his own because he likes the peace and quiet. Both my dad and both my grandparents, my grandfather's gardened, and he just kind of has it in him that he likes that work to himself. So doing this gardening, doing the rhubarb, some people can say it can be a lot of work. It can be as much work as you want to make of it, and it can just be fun. I ended up pulling up, because I was pulling straight up and I did a lot of aggressive grass pulling, 9 of these. So at $3 to $6 a piece, that buys a good amount of groceries in a week, and most people that come end up getting 3 or 4. So you can get through them very quickly. And we were buying these for yogurt and sour cream. Now we make our own yogurt, and hopefully this year we'll be making our own sour cream as well, because we have a cow that is getting ready to calve, ending the plastic supply. But you can get those for free quite often online. All right, so here are our potted rhubarbs. Remember when you do this to do drain holes in the bottom of your pots. Otherwise you are going to have some very wet roots that will not be happy. If you don't want to do this into pots, you can do this directly into the ground in your garden and just start your divides off that way. Think of it like transplanting hostas and other perennials. They really divide very easily. So I hope this helps you with your gardening and homesteading, everybody. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.